Hello, Pally.
Today is Thursday, September 20th, 2018.
And InFocus starts right now.
Anyone who's paid attention to local school politics knows that last year, former
Superintendent Don Austin sits down with our crew to discuss his interests.
An unorthodox Pally sports team is looking for members.
And protests break out in South Korea against the warming relations with the North.
All that and more is coming up on today's show.
Welcome to InFocus. I'm Stella Essenmacher.
And I'm Leon Friedrichowitz.
There's a lot going on around campus.
Here's some important announcements from today's bulletin.
The Girls in STEM Club is having its first meeting of the year this Friday, September 21st at lunch in room 852. Pizza will be provided. The Pally Girls water polo team will be hosting their treadathon on September 28th from 4 to 8:30. The event benefits Beyond Barriers Athletic Foundation. Those who attended this beach-themed event will have the chance to get in the pool and play some games. The pre-season meeting for boys soccer will be held Tuesday, September 25th during lunch. Please meet at the lacrosse field bleachers.
A club on campus is seeking students who prefer competing in virtual sports. The fall Pally eSports team season is approaching soon. The club will be holding tryouts for additional players to join the team. Tryouts are for Overwatch, League of Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, Counter-Strike, Fortnite, Hearthstone, and Rocket League. If you'd like to compete nationally for any of these events, send in an email to esportspally@gmail.com requesting for a spot. This must be sent before September 24th to secure a spot for tryouts.
Moving on now from what's going on around campus to what's happening in the world and locally today.
Let's take a look at what's topping today's headlines in today's News Minute.
A woman killed 2 people and wounded 3 others at a drugstore distribution center in Hartford County, Maryland. 3 victims were treated at a local hospital. Authorities say no law enforcement officers fired shots during the response. Rite Aid spokeswoman Susan Henderson says about 1,000 employees work at the distribution center. Officials say the shooter was a temporary employee at the facility. This marks the 3rd mass shooting in the country in the span of a day. After a breakthrough deal on Wednesday, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and South Korean President Moon Jae-in have wrapped up their historic 3-day summit in Pyongyang. They spent the final day together by visiting the sacred Mount Paektu. Meanwhile, their apparent bromance has sparked protests in Seoul and anger towards their growing relationship. In the 1970s, the gender equality movement was picking up steam.
And today in history, the power struggle between genders was taken to the tennis court. Kyle Sweezy, our very own resident historian, has been learning more.
What do you have for us today, Kyle?
Well, Stella, on September 20th, 1973, the famous Battle of the Sexes tennis match between Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs was played in the Houston Astrodome. The game was the second official matchup between male and female professional players. 90 million people tuned in to watch from across the world, and 30,472 watched the game from the stands, making it one of the largest audiences to ever attend a tennis match in the United States. Billie Jean King won 3 sets to 0 in what is considered a very influential moment in the history of the gender equality movement. The match resulted in more visibility for female athletes in the next decade. Well, that's all for me. Back to you, Stella and Leon.
Last year, PAWS Superintendent Max McGee stepped down, leaving a vacancy.
Over the summer, PAUSD hired a new superintendent. Audrey Michali and Timothy Hung walked over to the district office to get to know PAUSD's new head administrator.
Anyone who's paid attention to local school politics knows that last year, former PAUSD Superintendent Max McGee resigned. The position was temporarily filled by Karen Hendricks as the search for a new superintendent began. This school year marks Don Austin's first year as our PAUSD superintendent. Although Mr. Austin is a native Californian, he couldn't have grown up much further away from Palo Alto than he did.
I grew up in Chula Vista, so it's just south of San Diego, about 5 minutes from the Tijuana border.
Austin's passion for teaching took him away from his home in California.
I went to Baker University, which is almost an absolute pinpoint in the middle of the country in Baldwin City, Kansas, little tiny school where I was I have degrees in physical education and a minor in English, and I went there to become a teacher.
Outside of being our superintendent, Austin likes to spend his weekend participating in social and athletic activities.
Before I moved up here, I like to surf on weekends, and surfing's a little tougher up here, so I have been paddleboarding, and I'm attending events over at Stanford, including their football games, and I like going to all of our school stuff here as well.
Austin's interest in sports stems from his athletic background.
In high school, I did football, track, and basketball, and I played football through college.
One of Austin's favorite pastimes is reading books.
My favorite book, I just happen to have right here. It's called The Book of Awesome. And The Book of Awesome I love because you can just open up to any page, just do a couple random ones. And it has stuff that we've all done, like finding the TV remote after looking forever. Orange slices at halftime. Who doesn't enjoy an orange slice at halftime?
Now that you've gotten to know Mr. Austin, he looks forward to getting to know the Pali students.
Now that you get to see who I am, when I'm on your campus, which will be often, feel free to come over and say hi. I really enjoy speaking with students, hearing what's on your mind. Pretty easy to approach. I'm looking forward to getting to know the school district, and in this case specifically Pali High.
Reporting from the district office, this is Timothy Hung.
Thanks for that great story, Audrey and Timothy.
Dr. Don Austin may be the new boss of the PAUSD.
But Pali athletes were the bosses of the fields, courts, and pools yesterday.
Sports anchor Jason Goldie is here with more.
Jason, I hear that the Pali teams were really tearing it up out there yesterday.
Stella, actually it's been a week of big wins and big losses. Since scores were reported a little late, let's start with Monday. Pali produced a number of blowout games, both on the winning end and losing end. Girls varsity volleyball spiked with 3 points against Los Altos' 1 point. Girls varsity field hockey was outplayed by Presentation High School. The result was 6-0. However, in the pool, girls varsity water polo netted 15 goals against Fremont's 2. Today is a big day for fans of volleyball and water polo. Girls freshman volleyball will start at home with Los Gatos at 4 p.m. Girls JV water polo plays at Los Gatos at 5:45 p.m. Boys varsity water polo will also play at Los Gatos beginning at 3:30 p.m. At Lynbrook, varsity field hockey starts the first quarter at 4 p.m. What a day! Back to you.
Well, that does it for today's episode.
Be sure to visit our website to check out old episodes, check the bulletin, or to send us an email.
Until next time, have a great day, Pali.